recently ousted from the family group, from the breeding herd. They are probably going on about 18 months. Anywhere from 14 to 18 months. And a lone wildebeest bull who's probably lost his herd to the wildebeest we saw this morning earlier. But seeing the wildebeest has brought back memories of a wildebeest we got to know quite well, and Charlie in Minnesota was asking a question about it. We had a wildebeest whose name was Bryan's mom. We had a wildebeest calf whose name was Bryan, and it was one of the calves that was one of the first calves to be witnessed being born on camera. And Bryan was the cameraman then at the time. Oh, Bryan, you should be telling the story. But Bryan's mom sadly was killed by a lion, and I managed to get the skull before the hyena tore it apart or changed its appearance. Now, she was a very particular wildebeest because she had a horn that flopped down the side of her face. It was a very distinct wildebeest, and that's why we could recognize her so easily. And I kept the horn, or rather the whole skull, because I felt it necessary to be able to then study it and see what it was that caused that horn to be that way. I'm going to try to move for a better view here. It's quite a classic shot, that the wildebeest with the two young Impala rams, or the wildebeest bull and Impala ram together. Okay, oh, you're supposed to look up, Mr. Wildebeest. So Charlie in Minnesota was asking what has happened to the skull, an update on the skull. Charlie, it still needs a bit of treatment. It's still pretty smelly. But maybe we can do something about it this afternoon. Because if I'm going on leave, we'll see. Maybe, if we can. I'll check on it and see if it's not too smelly and it's not too gory, because it's been drying out for a long time now. I think it was in February, mid-February, around the 19th of February, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, there was a woodpecker pecking above us, but I didn't quite register. I've only registered now. As we drive away and it flies away. I was also thinking that maybe what I ought to do is, when we've looked at the skull and I've shown all of you what the skull looks like, that I would leave it. I would actually take it and we would do it at the place where she died, and then I will leave the skull there. But also I was thinking that maybe the owner of Juma might be interested in it, because it was a very interesting, at first I thought it was a deformity, but I'm now more convinced that instead of a deformity, it was a broken horn, and there's some interesting markings on it, and I'd like to share that with you all, because so many of the viewers were part of that whole saga of the wildebeest being born in November, and watching these youngsters grow, and the herd out on quarantine every day, almost every day. And then the day when the little Brian went missing. That was a little traumatic, because we found Lion, and we found that it must have been killed by the lion, because she was getting frantic. She was running up and down looking for it. She kept running back along the tracks where they had come from, because they had been elsewhere and they were coming back to quarantine. In fact, they were probably here at Arathusa, and they were in a straight line cutting through from here back to quarantine. And it was quite clear that she had lost her calf, and then it was only a matter of time before we came to the conclusion that one must have been eaten, because it was gone. And then only a few weeks later, same pride of lion came back again one night, and we found them eating a wildebeest on quarantine, and it turned out to be her. And it could well be that she was still preoccupied with looking for her calf, and that may be why she got taken, because she didn't have a calf anymore. She's looking for the calf, not as vigilant as the cows who still have their calves. Who knows? We don't know, because it was nighttime, and a big surprise when I noticed the skull when they saw the kill. Need to talk on the